welcome back, everybody. I hope you're excited about what you've been learning so far with the You Can Success Summit so far. All the speakers that you've been hearing about, it's been amazing so far. I mean, just some of the things that some of the people have been teaching has been even inspiring me. I've learned a lot of these things over the years, but I can tell you right now, the things that you are learning, you can implement into your life right now. You can get the results that you want. You can absolutely apply them in any situation in your business, or even if you're just looking for an opportunity, you can apply the things that you've been learning. And today is not going to be any exception. I have a gentleman today that I tremendously respect. I remember years ago when we met back in the real estate days, and he was a young guy, and he was dating. I don't even think he was married at the time. He was dating a lady, and they came to one of my boot camps, and they were fired up, and it's just amazing to watch. I've been watching him on stage for years. I've been watching him kill it out there in the industry, and he now does some amazing training. He helps people all around the world. I've seen him speak in different parts of the world on stages, and I've seen his presence, and his wife has built a phenomenal business as well. But today I wanted you to hear from a great friend of mine, because I believe that he has some wisdom and some knowledge and some tips that he's learned from experience. He's been in the field. He's in the field right now, and he's out there making things happen in a big way. So get your pens and paper out. Like I say every time, get your pen and paper with white paper and blue ink so you take great notes, and then go and pay close attention. Get rid of all distractions. Put the kids to bed or whatever you got to do to pay close attention to the information you're going to hear. Could be life-changing. So please help me welcome my good buddy, Clinton Young. Hey, what's up, Clinton? How's it going, buddy?
It's going great, Stephen. You just reminded me and brought me back to the days of sitting in your trainings with the white paper and blue pen, baby.
That's right. That's what it takes, right? I got mine right here, white paper, blue ink.
Oh, yeah.
That's right. Never forget that. Yeah, because it's amazing how much you can retain when you take notes of white paper and blue ink. Yeah. I remember everything. It's funny. I remember everything because I write with white paper and blue ink. Something simple. But yeah, Clinton, so thanks for being here, man. I appreciate you. We haven't talked in a long time. We haven't caught up in a while. I can see you out there, man. I see you on stage all the time. I get your videos, I get your emails, and I know you're out there rocking it, kicking butt out there. So I want to catch up. I want to hear all the details and good stuff of what you've been doing. And today, what I would love for you to do is our audience, I would love for you to be able to share with them, what it took to make it. Because I know you didn't start off this way. I remember a few years ago where you were, but I want you to tell the story, because I'm sure what I saw was nothing about what was really going on. So there's probably a lot more to you than meets the eye. So if you wouldn't mind, maybe just telling your story, telling the audience a little bit about your background and maybe your experience before getting the success that you have right now. And maybe you can talk about what put you in a position to get into direct sales or into, speaking and coaching and training and things like that. And then the challenges that, you had to overcome. Maybe you can share some of that for me, if you don't mind.
Yeah, absolutely. I would love to. And I'll go at a kind of high level. We can dive in at different points here when it's relevant. And I can always come back to share more later.
Sure.
But ultimately, my entrepreneurial career started before I even knew I was an entrepreneur. I literally came out of college. I did go do the college route. I kind of went through that and drifted through that process. Got really good grades, but I wasn't really conscious of what I wanted. I had no idea what personal development was, and I was really just kind of going through the motions. I don't know if some of your listeners can relate to that, but I was totally just unconsciously going through life. Got my first job in corporate, realized that I actually did not enjoy corporate America at that time of my life. And I became an executive recruiter. I was really like a headhunter. And Stephen, this is where I cut my teeth in sales. I was talking to a guy this morning, a fellow sales guy, about my background. And I was sharing with him how that's how I cut my teeth. I was literally dialing out of a phone book, literally calling into big box stores all around the US, mostly in the Northeast where I'm from. And really, within 5 to 10 seconds, talking to the store manager or system manager, needing to get rapport in an instant, and then spark a conversation and interest for them wanting to potentially leave their job that they're at in that moment. Talk about like here's sales, like welcome to sales, Clinton. That was my foray into sales, and I loved it. Like I absolutely loved it. And from there, you know, I realized that I kind of hit a growth curve, and I took this trip overseas and really ignited my passion, really opened my eyes to a whole new world of what's possible out there. I didn't really know what that world was. I just knew there was more to life than me and my little job that I had. And I had that role for about 3 years. Again, I had no clue I was even an entrepreneur. I was on 100% commission, but they gave me what's called a draw, which I'm sure you're aware of, where I got money every week, but they clawed it all back 100% when I made a sale. I had no idea I was an entrepreneur, but I was technically 100% sales, 100% commission. And, you know, I basically went overseas and I had this real illuminating moment where I realized I wanted something more, and I realized I had a passion around culture. So I went to grad school and actually studied culture. And I studied psychology, specifically organizational psychology and emotional intelligence. And that was kind of my beginning into neuroscience and emotional intelligence and psychology, just the way people work. And I found over the years that has had a dramatic impact in a positive way in my ability to connect with people and my ability to be successful as a salesperson. I'll come back to that in a little bit. I won't give you the full story, but ultimately in grad school, I had this amazing desire to grow. And I would put myself, and this is some advice I'd give to anyone listening to this, is if you feel stuck, even if you don't feel stuck and you feel like you're doing all right, be a sponge for growth, right? I was an absolute sponge wanting to grow and learn, and I put myself in uncomfortable situations. I would literally look for opportunities. I hadn't spoken really back then at all. And I'd put myself in opportunities where I had to be the leader, where I had to be the one that shared in front of the class, because I knew that was going to help me grow and transform. And ultimately, I created magic and miracles. I could talk about that for a while, but I won't. I created opportunities to live and work over in Brazil, or down in Brazil, and then over in Singapore at the U.S. Embassy. Amazing, amazing experiences, and really created a life and created my first dream job opportunity, it's what brought me out to California, Southern California, where I met you. Literally, I met you a year after this job. So picture this. I'm in my dream job, right? I'm in a cubicle. Don't get me wrong. It wasn't that glamorous. Tall boy walls, though, because I had the manager cube. But I'm in there, and I'm actually working for a consulting firm that did organizational consulting for massive clients all around the world that sent people overseas. And the reason I'm sharing this much detail on this is because I followed my passion, right? I followed my inspiration. I had belief and faith that no matter what, I was going overseas. No matter what, I had no clue, no evidence that it was even possible for me to go overseas. I had no money to go overseas. I had no resources. I had nothing. But all I did is I had inspiration, and I had this blind faith. And I'm not talking religious faith. I'm not even talking spiritual faith. I'm just talking this sort of knowingness. You know how you have this just knowingness that something's already done? And I was so early in my career and in my development that I didn't even know it was there. It was just, there was no not doing it. It was just happening. And like I said, magic and miracles, because I took action, magic and miracles opened up for me. And that's a formula I want to actually kind of give to the audience right now. If you want to write this down, I just breezed over. I can do a whole training on this one formula, but it's inspiration plus faith and belief plus action equals magic and miracles. We've got to be inspired about what we want to do and where we're going. We have to be clear about what we want and be fired up, get those tingly feelings. And then we have to have absolute faith that it's already done. Like a knowingness that it's already done. You don't know how it's going to get done. Don't worry about that. You don't need to know the how. The how reveals itself when you have belief and when you start taking action. So I did that, and I ended up landing my dream job working for this company. Brought me out to California. Had no idea that was going to bring me to the end of my corporate experience, if you will. And that's when I met you. That's when I became an entrepreneur. That's when I dove back into a more direct sales type role where, selling high, big ticket education, and got into the real estate space as well. And in that time, I experienced some massive ups and some massive downs. One of the biggest things that I could share with the audience is I noticed a huge up level of my network. People like yourself, people that had already made $100,000, which I'd never made six figures in my life at that point, right? I'd never done that. But I started surrounding myself with amazing people. And as well as I do, and any of the salespeople on this call or entrepreneurs on this, watching this video recording, they should know as well that we are the products of the top 5 people we hang out with. I think I probably learned this from you like 15 years ago, right? We're the products of the books we read and the people we hang out with, period. And I started hanging out with these people that were reading books like Think and Grow Rich, The Greatest Salesman in the World, some of the best books on the planet, especially if you're in sales or entrepreneurship. And I started thinking differently. I started saying different things out of my mouth. I started believing different things were possible. And I went from the world of academic development and growth to personal development and growth. And that's when I really got the distinction between those two. They're totally different things, right? I see you nodding your head. They're totally different things. And that's where, I had a lot of successes. I learned about things that I call black sheep habits, right? These are the habits that a lot of people aren't willing to do. Things like meditation, things like visualization, right? There's many, many different practices that some of the top performers on the planet, some of the wealthiest people, some of the most fulfilled people, top entrepreneurs, astronauts, fighter pilots, CEOs, they practice these black sheep habits that I sort of discovered, and I coined them black sheep habits. I started doing these things, and I started creating magic and miracles. I had my first $40,000 month, which was like crazy because I was only making $50,000 plus bonus at my last job. That's the power of sales, right? That's the power of being an entrepreneur, of owning your own destiny. So I had these ups, but then I also had some downs. And I think you asked me to share some of my challenges along the way. I'd like to share one of those now, if that's okay.
Please, absolutely. Love to hear the challenges, but you already gave some great pointers and some great things. Some of the things you shared, that formula you said was, what was it? Impact plus faith and belief, or what was the first word there?
Inspiration.
Inspiration.
Yeah.
Inspiration plus faith and belief plus action equals miracles. That's powerful, man. I mean, and that's true because you have to be inspired. And that's what this whole training is all about, is to really inspire people that they can do it. And that's why, one of the things I'm doing here, there's going to be 20 to 30 speakers that, over the next few days, doing these trainings. But what I didn't do, I didn't go get the big names in the world. I didn't want the big names. I didn't want the $1 million producers that you see on stage all the time that are running the world that, out there. I wanted the average people like you and I, the ones that had to do it from nothing, the ones that had no experience, no money, no skill set, no belief in ourselves, no nothing. And we're still in the grind today. We're still doing it, but we're living what we teach, not just teaching it. There's a lot of people that sell stuff, and then there's people that are actually doing it, and you're doing it. So, that's where the inspiration comes from, and that's who we're looking for to help people. And I believe people that are watching this right now could see you and say, wow, if he can do it, I can do it. I can travel the world. I can do it. And that's that inspiration they need. And then you have to have, like you said, that faith and belief that they can do it. See, because there's a lot of times people believe, well, Clinton can do it, but I can't do it. And that's where that faith and belief is. They have to believe that they can do it. And I think that's what you're trying to convey, because once you do that, then they start doing it. And then they start having the action. They start taking some of the action. And, I teach that 4 core belief and the 4 levels of learning where they have to go through the action to get the mindset, because that activity creates that success cycle. And then that's when the miracles happen. And that's kind of what you just said. So that's brilliant, man. That's awesome. I love it. And so, we love to hear some of the challenges because, everyone that becomes successful has challenges. It's not an easy, smooth road. And a lot of people that are watching this, a lot of times when you see those success celebrities on TV, they may mention some of their challenges, but they never talk about the real challenges. you know, the ones that we really struggle. So yeah, man, we'd love to hear about some of the challenges that you had to face and how you overcame them to, you know, be where you are today.
Awesome. Well, I mean, I'm going to share a few challenges right now. I'm going to share a massive challenge, and perhaps we'll come back to it at the end when we talk about the additional question I popped in there. If we get to it, we'll definitely go deep into this challenge. So along the way, I had numerous challenges, obviously, like we all do, right? The biggest challenge that I find that I have and the people that I work with have is just belief in ourselves, right? Belief that we can do it too. And that's why it's so powerful to be in a community like this, to be surrounded by other people that are maybe just a few steps ahead of you. Maybe they're 500 steps ahead of you, but you can learn from them. You can glean from them, because success leaves clues, like the late great Jim Rohn used to say. Success absolutely leaves clues. And I remember the first time I spoke, it was when I was in that corporate job, the one that my dream job. I was speaking at Dial Corporation. And just picture this. I'm up in front of like 15, 20 people in a boardroom. And here I am. One guy on the team, he vouched for me because I was in the intercultural services division. It was kind of like the niche division. I wasn't the core services. So he vouched for me and brought me in. And I'm up on stage, picture this. And I'm like beet red. I'm fumbling through my words, totally like messing up. It is a train wreck, absolute train wreck. I can see my colleague sitting there. His face is like ready to explode. Like, I can't believe I let this guy in on my client, right? He's got hundreds of thousands of dollars of contracts with this client. And I'm in there talking about intercultural services, trying to pitch something as well, but it is not going well. And that day was humbling, absolutely humbling. So if I can become an international keynote speaker and speak all around the world, starting from there, anybody here can do that. And I'm going to share another tip right now, just because they're popping in my brain here. When you're in sales, when you're in entrepreneurship, write this down. He or she who holds the microphone always makes the most money, always wins. He or she who holds the microphone always wins, right? So that's one big thing I can say is learn how to be effective in your communication, whether it's on a Zoom call, a one-on-one like this with one of your clients or one of your prospects, or whether it's from stage. And baby, when you get good from stage, man, that is where people are attracted to you. So that's one of the challenges I had was, kind of a failure in the beginning of my career of my dream job, and unknowingly in the beginning of my speaking career. That was how it all started right there. And about a year in, I met you, and that's when I, got into direct sales and this new opportunity. But about a few years into that, I had my first six-figure year, and then my second six-figure year, and I was helping a ton of people as well, both through the product as well as, helping them learn how to quit their jobs and become salespeople as well. But then 2008 happened. And what happened in 2008 around the world, but especially in the United States, obviously the financial collapse, the real estate collapse. It was super challenging for so many people, and I certainly was included in that. I did not escape that. And man, I lost my property. I lost my business. I lost my credit. And this is 6 months after I got engaged. 6 months. Welcome to the family, honey, right? That's how my relationship started. And in 2009, I had to close down a lot of things. And I was shattered, man. I was absolutely shattered. And I find myself walking in, going from making several $100,000 into this broke down call center. I'm walking in on my brand new job, first day of my brand new job, very, very sobering day. And it's sobering day because I'm going into this job to cold call local businesses around the US and sell them ad space in a high school sports calendar, making $8 an hour. And that was humbling. Not that there's anything wrong with that job. Some of you on this call might be doing something like that right now in a call center. It's great. It's a great place to, again, cut your teeth or hone your skills. And what I found in that experience is it absolutely was a place for me to hone my skills and, more importantly, regain my confidence. because it was absolutely shattered. And in that process, I ended up setting massive sales records in that company and really evolved I transformed the whole thinking of what was possible. People are selling like $175 one-by-one ads. I'm selling $10,000 multi-season 10-by-10 ads, to like Army recruiters, because I had a different mindset, because I'd hung around with people like Steve and Gregg and people like some of our mentors the years prior to that. I had a whole different level of thinking. I came in there and just smashed it. It still wasn't the right vehicle. It was kind of like Mario Andretti driving a Yugo. You can only go so fast in the comp plan that you're in, right? So Mario Andretti is an amazing race car driver, if you don't know. And many of you out there are probably amazing race car drivers as it relates to sales or entrepreneurship, but it's all about your business model, right? You've got to have a Ferrari to go at Ferrari speeds. So that was a massive challenge. And I found myself in a seminar one day, and I'm standing at a microphone. I'm kind of like this. And picture this, the seminar leader, he looks right at me. I'm in front of like 200 people, and he says, "Clinton, you're dead inside." And I was just like, oh, it was like it hit me right in the heart. And he was right. I was dead inside, like absolutely dead. And I would love to share the rest of this story at the end of our call today about what was dead inside of me. And I'll share with you some things that I did right now, because I know Stephen wants me to share. What did I do to get out of that? But I want to share a massive aha at the end. And just remind me to do that, Stephen, if you will. Sorry, I'm giving you something to do here, but I want to leave you on a cliffhanger and come back to that. But the biggest thing that I did, because I sort of had this spiritual awakening. And again, I'm not talking about religion. I'm not talking about any of that. But what I'm talking about is this sort of desire for more meaning and purpose. Remember how I talked about academic learning? And then the evolution of that was personal development. And that was real, like more learning more about myself. But then there was this, what are my strengths? What are my weaknesses? Just having more awareness overall. That's massively important. Success principles, money principles, business principles, all that. But the third level, I believe, of this sort of evolution is more of a spiritual awakening. It's more of a meaning and purpose game, right? What's my purpose? What am I here for? How can I make a bigger impact? So many people ask me, and I hope it's okay, I'm sharing little nuggets along the way, but so many people ask me on stage, because my speech is called Reigniting Your Human Spirit. Remember how I said I was dead inside? Well, I know there's a lot of other people that have gone through challenges as well. And what lights me up is to light them up, right? To breathe life into them, to reignite their human spirit. And so many people ask me, what's my purpose? How do I find my purpose? And I always say to them, if you're looking for your purpose, stop. And they're like, what? You're like the guy that talks about this. I'm like, if you're looking for your purpose, stop. It'll be waiting for you when you start doing the things that you love, right? If you're looking for your purpose, stop. It'll be waiting for you when you start doing the things you love. So take that into where I'm at in this dead inside moment in this seminar. I had this spiritual awakening. I'm yearning for more meaning and purpose. Yes, I went deeper internal and discovered more about who I was and what was important to me and my vision and my values. So important to know your core values. Like, what do you value? Because without awareness of that, you're kind of just like a leaf in the wind. You're blowing in the wind. But when you have core values, that's really what drives most of your choices. What you value most, right? What do you value? So I ask you to think about that and write that down. What do you value? Get to your core values, because that's what's driving a lot of your choices. And so in that moment, I started to do the things that I loved. I started to do the things that I valued. I started speaking more. I didn't even know I was a speaker, but I started putting myself in experiences that lit me up, that gave me life, that gave me joy. And one of those things is being in front of people and sharing. And I had no idea what that was going to lead me to. No clue what that was going to lead me to. But a combination of doing the things that I love and remembering the practices, the black sheep habits, like I call them, starting to have this morning practice and this daily practice, surrounding myself with higher and higher caliber people, all of a sudden I land my next dream opportunity, which is doing sales for a real estate education company, much larger enterprise. And that led me to speaking on more stages. I was a director of recruiting there. I hired a ton of people. And I helped create a culture and helped the company go from about $40 million a year to about $250 million, hired like 200 people in 18 months. It was crazy. And all along the way, and this is one thing I would invite all of your listeners to and viewers to do, is always look for how can I get further alignment in whatever I'm doing, whatever my next opportunity is, how can I further align it to my greatest gifts and talents? Because the more aligned you are with your gifts and talents, man, that's when the magic happens, right? That's when you start to attract more and more higher value opportunities for you to learn and for you to make money. Because when I did that, I got this opportunity. Boom, I'm director of talent acquisitions, right? I started off as an executive recruiter, so it kind of made sense. I was an entrepreneur, so I brought this big value to this company. That led me to an opportunity to run their whole tech company they had. And that led me to speak all around the country, massive crowds, like 500, 1,000, 1,300 people. And that just sparked more in me of what I loved, which was speaking. And that evolved into another sales role, which evolved into me saying, you know what? I'm speaking all around. Why am I not doing this for myself? Why am I not sharing my big vision? Why am I selling their vision? Why don't I sell my vision? And that's when I took the leap, 2018. One of the other biggest things I could say is invest in coaching. Invest in coaching, right? Because you've got to find ways to not necessarily skip steps, but accelerate you through the process of learning. Accelerate you through those 4 levels of learning that I love that Stephen asked Stephen about them. I'm sure he talks about them a lot. It's where I learned them. And man, I still teach those to this day. And so when you go through these levels of learning and you surround yourself with mentors and coaches, you're able to go through them much faster. And that's what landed me on stages with people like Eric Thomas, the hip hop preacher, he's proclaimed as the #1 motivational speaker in the world. Right? I've spoken on stage with him twice, actually. John Assaraf from The Secret fame. What's his name from Chicken Soup for the Soul guy? What's his name? Chicken Soup for the Soul.
Mark Victor Hansen.
The other guy, yeah.
I don't remember.
His partner, basically. I can't remember his name, but he's pretty famous as well. But anyways, it's because I was Jack Canfield. Jack Canfield. I was following what lit me up inside, my passions, my interests. If you don't have passions, go for your interests, because your interests grow into passions, right? Do the things that bring you joy and find ways to add value, and the money finds you. The opportunities continue to up-level and up-level and up-level as long as you keep your mind on right, you keep surrounding yourself with amazing people, and you keep taking action. So I know that was a long-winded way of answering your question, but hopefully that added some value to your viewers.
No, man, that was a long-winded. That was the perfect timing, because you gave the nuggets that people need to hear. And let me tell you a couple things I grabbed from this already. One of them is, and if you're watching this, he went through a hard time in 2008. But I'm gonna let you know, I went through a hard time in 2008. He was in our office, and most people don't know that I had an office that I was paying, $40,000 a month for, and I had all these people in there, and I had to shut down that office, and I had to send 100 people home from that business, and I had to file bankruptcy, and we lost our house, and I was in that same spot probably at the same time you were, sitting in a parking lot trying to sell credit repair. After making 7 figures in a couple of years there, it was a humbling time. So the one thing I want to get from this, you guys, if you're all, we're not in 2008, we're in 2020 or so, and you might be going through that same type of thing right now, because it's probably just as bad, if not worse than it was back then. And if that's the case, you're not the only one. That's the one thing I grabbed from this, that because when I was going through that struggle, I thought I was the only one going through the struggle. What I didn't see is how many other people in my community that were going through that same struggle. So the one thing that you got to realize is that if you're going through that challenge right now, there's a way out. Clinton's proof of that right there. He found a way out. He helped with his mindset. He's telling you what he did, not a theory or a concept. He's telling you what he did to get himself into a better place. Because the government's not going to save you. Your family's not going to save you. You got to pull yourself up from your own bootstraps and make it happen. Things in life have a tendency not to happen. It's up to you to make it happen. And that's what he's talking about here. So it was really powerful. One of the things you said, I want to share this because you said, start doing the things you love. Stop looking for your purpose and start doing what you love, and then you'll find your purpose. Now, that was awesome, man. I'm going to use that one. You mind if I borrow that?
Go ahead.
That's powerful, dude, because that's exactly right. I'm always trying to help people find their purpose, but you just gave a very simple, practical way of doing it. Is just go do what you know, and then your purpose will show up. So that's awesome, man. I love that. I love that. So, so far, you guys have gotten some great things, but I do have a couple more questions for you because, I want some specific things that people need to know what to do to help them in their life. So first of all, some success stories. I know you had some success stories. You've talked about yours already. So let's talk about some success stories of people that you've helped. Maybe you met someone that you coached or you mentored and you taught them some things and then they ended up in a different place in life, right? Yeah. So I'm sure you have some of those around the world. So talk about maybe one of those someone that that you can say, I took them by the hand and you led them to the promised land spiritually, not spiritually speaking. And by the way, don't ever apologize for talking about God or talking about a spiritual walk, because that is 100% okay on my channel. Because trust me, I do all the time. So it's all good. Just want you to know, you got full permission. You can talk about it as much as you want. But anyway, so maybe you have some success with someone. If you would like to share that, we'd love to hear.
Totally, yeah. There's two people that come to mind that are the more recent. So I'll share the most recent ones. So one of them is, and they both happen to be young guys. One guy was I have helped women as well, but just these two pop in my head. I'll share these. One guy, he was about 22 years old when I met him. He literally was a barista in Starbucks. So that's not very entrepreneurial. If you all imagine, that's a job, right? And it's cool. It's totally fine if you're working at Starbucks or you're a barista. It's totally cool. He had no idea who he was. He had no idea of his potential. He was a valedictorian of his school, so he knew he was smart, right? He knew he was smart, but he had no clue what was inside of him. And one of the big things that I love is awareness. I believe, and write this down, awareness creates freedom. Awareness creates freedom, right? When we have awareness of who we are and where we want to go, now we can actually get there. When we follow these principles that we're talking about, but we need to know who we are, where we are right now, and we need to know where we want to go. So he had no clue who he was. He had no clue what his strengths and weaknesses were. He had no idea what his natural tendencies were in his personality. He had no idea what his passions were, what his core values were, what his interests were. He had no clue. He was just going through the motions like many of us. Right? We get stuck in going through the motions so much. And so we actually took a personality profile. That was just one jump off point. It's not the end all be all, right? But any way we can get more awareness about ourselves, it allows us to see new things, see things newly. And it starts to create a new belief, a new view of what's possible. Think of it like colored glasses. I used to wear blue colored glasses back in the day just because I liked how it made things look, right? In fact, I might start doing that again, because when you start to see, when you have a new lens, you see the whole world differently. That's why I love shifting beliefs. That's why I'm all about uncovering limiting beliefs. And I uncovered a limiting belief for him. He started to see that he actually is a lot more than a barista. He's a lot more than the guy who, when he started working with me, he was doing phone calls that were doing welcome calls. He was welcoming some of the new clients that I had. And what he didn't realize is that that's really not his sort of flow, if you will, his natural, like where he adds the most value, where it gives him life. When you're in the flow, it gives you life. It gives you energy when you're doing that thing. Every one of us have certain activities in all areas of our life, but we're just talking about career right now or business, where when we do them, it actually gives us joy. Like time flies by, right? Those are the things we want to focus on. We want to try to outsource some of the other things that maybe they don't bring us joy or they give us headaches. And what he didn't realize is he's really amazing at like spreadsheets. And I know a lot of salespeople on the phone right now are like, whoa, that's not me. You give me a spreadsheet, I want to run out into traffic, okay? It is not my jam. But he loved that stuff, and he loved figuring out how to create stuff and how to make things more efficient, more effective. And what he didn't even realize is he had this interest in technology. and he had this interest in not only technology, but in coding. He'd never done anything like that. He never even thought of that. It never even entered his vision or his view. But now with this new awareness, he has a new view of what's possible. He starts hanging around with people like me and like Steven that are thinking at a higher level, that have more empowering beliefs installed, because we've just been in the game longer and we've been committed to it. We've been surrounding ourselves with great people. And all of a sudden, he has this inspiration, this thought. Remember, inspiration plus belief and faith. He had the belief and the faith that he could actually do it. He had this inspiration to take a class, and he paid $10,000. He took action, right? Inspiration plus faith and belief plus action. He took action. Paid $10,000. This guy didn't even have $10,000. He's 22 years old to take this class. That's a big leap of faith. Would you not agree? That's a big leap of faith. He jumps into that. And if you haven't made a $10,000 decision in your life, you know, you're going to have to start getting used to making those kinds of decisions, because if you want to be an entrepreneur, if you want to be someone that creates your life, you got to learn how to make big decisions, right? A whole nother story. But he made this choice, and all of a sudden he goes through this class. Fast forward a year and a half later, someone in the class, first of all, he was lit up. And we found so many other opportunities for him to add value on my team, doing things that he was actually enjoying, that he loved, that he was good at, that when he did them, they happened quickly. I could rely on him. They happened fast because he liked it, right? Water flows to the path of least resistance. So find your path of least resistance. Not that it's going to be easy. I'm not trying to say that, but find the path that gives you joy and brings you flow. Fast forward a year and a half later. Now, this young man, he's 20, I think he's 23 years old. He was identified in that class by somebody, one of I think it was one of the mentors in the class. He now is an equity owner in a tech company at 23 years old, and he works full-time now as an entrepreneur, really an intrapreneur with an I, because he technically has a job, but he owns part of the company, right? Coming from a barista, surrounding himself with quality people, up-leveling his own beliefs, right? Getting inspired and clear about what he wants, having belief and faith that it's already done, and taking freaking action, and look what happened. And now he's crushing it. He's making six figures. He's got his own company. I mean, it's crazy how quickly you can progress when you get around the right people. So I'm just going to share that because that was a little long-winded. There's another young guy that I helped. Let me share real quick, actually. You never ask a speaker to share just a little bit. I just keep going. Hopefully this has value too.
No, man, this is your time, bro. So don't feel that you're taking too much time, because you know, if you were boring, then you know I would have cut it off and I would have came in with some nuggets. But that ain't the case here. I hope everybody's watching this right now. You're getting some nuggets. You're getting some great stuff. Clinton has a lot to share, and you know I'm learning so much from you. I'm taking notes myself, so you know it's all good. So go ahead, share your other story.
Thanks, man. Thanks. So, you know, part of the other element of my business is being a world-class speaker trainer. So I mentor some students as well. I've mentored this one guy. He's 18 years old, and he was getting ready for a TED Talk. That's pretty awesome. This young guy. So he was already kind of a bigger thinker, right? But he had no clue how good he really was. He had no clue of his actual potential. And I started coaching him. I started training and mentoring him. And I taught him what I like to call the top 7 secrets or tips to becoming a world-class speaker, right? And this young guy, he cruised through that training. He smashed his TED Talk, smashed it. He's now written another book. He wrote a book all about his journey and all about living your purpose. I taught him a lot of the principles I'm sharing with you right now. And this guy now, he's a realtor, crushing it in San Diego. He's driving a Porsche. Not that it's all about cars and money, but some of you might like cars. He's rocking a Porsche. He's making a ton of money, and he's speaking all around the world. And I believe he's only 19 or 20 years old right now, which is just bananas. If I was doing that at that age, holy cow, I can't imagine what he's going to look like at 43 years old, which is how old I am right now, starting out that young, getting these kind of principles that young. So whether you're 18 or 17 or 20, or whether you're 60 or 40 or 80, you can always grow and expand. You can always get to the next level of fulfillment in your life by just being inspired, having belief and faith, and taking action. Magic and miracles open up for you.
Absolutely, and you're right, because there's people here that are watching this right now that might be, a little more seasoned. I don't call them old, seasoned. I'm seasoned. I'm more seasoned than you are. I'm 52, I think, or somewhere. Yeah, after you pass 45, you start to forget what year it is. But I'm around the 52-ish somewhere.
Yeah.
But you do start to think, wow, can I do it? Am I too old, too young, too black, too white, too whatever? It has nothing to do with it. It has to do with what's up here. It has nothing to do with what you think outside and what you think inside. Earlier, you mentioned something about, you got to change the way you see things. Yeah. And, there's a sentence that I learned years ago from one of my mentors, Zig Ziglar. He said, you're going to perform exactly how you see yourself. And that's the key.
I'm writing that down.
You write that one down. You're going to perform exactly how you see yourself. I just taught our whole ministry. I run an online ministry. I just taught that this week, and everybody has to memorize that, because you got to see yourself correctly, because you're going to perform exactly how you see yourself. And that's one of the things Clinton does. He helps you see yourself clearly. He helps you take the blinders off so you can see yourself correctly so that you can perform that way. So I'm fired up about the things that you're sharing, man, because again, I knew, these last 10 years you had gone through some stuff, and I could see you on top, and that doesn't happen by accident. And so that's why I was so fired up to have you on this show, because I knew whatever you had learned to get you where you are, that's what people need to know, because that's where they are. They're in the same boat. They're hurting. They're struggling. They're defeated. They just lost their job. They're struggling. They're like, what do I do next? Well, guess what? You have a message inside that the world needs to hear, and nobody can deliver that message but you. And so Clinton's one of those guys that'll help pull that out. So yeah, that'll be something that you may want to even consider talking to him about. But I do got a couple more questions for you. You're not done I'm not done yet. I got one question. Here's a big one. Here's a big one. Let's just say you lost everything. Yep. 2,000 years? 2008, you lost everything, right? But this time you're different. You got a different skill set now. You got a different mindset now. So you keep your mindset, you keep your skills, but you lost all your money. Let's say you lost everything now, and you lost your job. You don't have any more cash. You got $200 in the bank, $500. That's it. You got the internet. You got your cell phone. What would you do to get yourself back on top in the next 30 days? Step by step, what would you do the next 30 days to get the ball rolling again?
Awesome question, Stephen. And I'm telling you, it all centers around that formula. I hope you wrote that formula down. And if you haven't yet, I'm going to say it one more time, because this formula, no kidding, has the ability to absolutely transform your life. It's inspiration plus faith and belief plus action equals magic and miracles. And I'm telling you, this is exactly what I would do. It's exactly what I do. If I lost everything, which I have, I've lost everything. This is what I do. I would get really, really clear about what does inspire me. And I'm going to share something I call the discovery process. I wrote about this in the first book that I wrote a chapter in the book on the law of attraction a long time ago when The Secret came out, that book. And I talk about the discovery process. In this discovery process, every single one of you can implement. And the reason why I'm sharing this in conjunction with my success formula that I just shared is because this formula, I had no idea back in grad school I was doing this formula. I had no clue. I didn't even know about a formula. I didn't even know about the law of attraction. I didn't even know about personal development. I just had a freaking passion. I had an inspiration, and I had a clear goal that I am going over freaking seas. I have no idea, but I'm doing it. So my first thing I would say to all of you is to get clear about what you want. You don't have to know every single detail. Don't get stuck in what I like to call the how hole. How am I going to do it? How am I going to do it? How am I going to do it? And I guarantee you, you're human, just like me. The first time you think big and you think of something that you want to do, your brain's going to be like, how are you going to do that? And that's called a limiting belief. Your limiting beliefs are that you can't do that. Just shut those up, okay? Because you can do that. You can do anything. Anything that you can visualize, you can do. Okay? I think it was the guy, Napoleon Hill, who said, anything that your mind can actually see, it's proof that you have the ability inside of you to achieve it. You wouldn't be able to see it if you couldn't actually achieve it. I'm sure there's a biblical principle in there too somewhere, but anyways, get clear about what you want, but don't get too clear. You don't need to worry about every single thing. All I knew in grad school was that I was going overseas. Again, no proof, no evidence. I didn't even have a model to follow, which is something that I would recommend you do, is find somebody that's done what it is that you want to do. That's step 2, okay? So you figure out what you want and be bold, man. Think big, be bold. At the same time, be humble and know that you just got to make some money. If you got to go work at a call center for $8 an hour in commission, do it. If you do what you need to do to solve your money problem first, right? But then be bold, think big. What do you want? And find somebody that's already done it. Find somebody that's 5 years ahead of you, 5 steps ahead of you, 5,000 steps ahead of you, and copy them. Copy them, right? In school, they call it cheating. In the real world, they call it being smart. Copy them, model them, right? Because success leaves clues. Go where they go, read the books they read, do what they do, and eventually you'll start to have some of the results that they have. But you also, in conjunction with modeling them, is you need to find other people that are on that same path, right? And network, up-level your network, up-level your network. Because as you up-level your network, you're going to start to think differently as well. You're going to start to see new opportunities. And I teach these 3 things in a short speech that I give once in a while. And the first one that I left out was listen to your language, right? Because that's what's going to help you uncover what your limiting beliefs are. When you're frustrated, when you're angry, when you're upset, you're going to be like, oh, I hate this. I'm so stupid, right? That's a limiting belief. That was one of mine. So start to hear the words coming out of your mouth, because that's a clue as to what's going on subconscious. We don't have time to get into brain science here. I'm a closet brain nerd. I'm a master's in psychology, and I've been studying brain science for the last 15 years. But there's power in your words. I'm telling you, there's power in your words. So change the words that are coming out of your mouth. That's why it's so important to up-level your network. Because your network isn't saying stuff like, I'm so stupid, or I can't do that, or you can't do that. They're saying, when you say I want to make 6 figures, they'll be like, okay, you want to make 100 or 200,000? How quickly do you want to do that? Awesome, cool. Well, what are some of the ways you thought about so far? They're supporting, they're empowering, they're lifting you up, right? So listen to your language, up-level your network after you've gotten clear about what you want. Find somebody that is a mentor. Find somebody that's a coach. Find somebody that you don't have money to pay somebody. Find somebody that's just doing it that you can follow online. And then find ways to add value to them. So many people are going around asking for a handout. That's not the way to do it, especially if you want a mentor. Go find out, this is huge right here. If you want somebody to support you, find out what they like. Don't stalk them. Don't be crazy, right? But find out what they like. You can find out a lot about somebody just on social media. Find out what they're reading. Find out ways to contribute to them. And then offer those contributions. Maybe even offer to do some work for free for somebody. If you have a passion around something, you know you can add value, say, you know what? I admire you so much. I would love to interview you. And that's what I did in grad school. I would love to do some work for you. I'd love to write this thing for you because I'm really great. Whatever your bag is. I'm great at sales. I'd love to come in and prove to you that I can actually help you grow your organization, your enterprise. Whatever it is, find ways to add value to that mentor. Don't ask for a thing, because guess what's going to happen? They're going to turn around and be like, you know what? How can I help you? It's a law of reciprocity. Don't do it with an ingenuous heart. Do it genuinely because you actually want to support that person because you believe in what they're up to and you admire them. Right? Don't blow smoke. I got a whole training I could do on networking too. That's all centered around that. But maybe another call some other time. So in my experience, I did that. In going back to grad school, I found all these people that I could interview. If you had international in your title, I was interviewing you. If you had diversity in your title, I was interviewing you. If you had vice president of international relations, whatever the heck it was, anything that had to do with being outside of the United States, I was interviewing you. I don't care who you were. I was fearless. And I would be genuine in my praise of them. That's a little tip here for building rapport. Find something you can connect with them about. You know what? Hey, I noticed that you went to UMass Amherst. I actually went there for undergrad. And I love what you're doing with blankety blank international company. I have a real passion for learning more about this space. I would love to come in and interview you. Guys, I was interviewing people for jobs. They weren't interviewing me. I was interviewing them. And every single time I would interview them, I would share my passion. I would ask them, what can I do to help them? And I would write this down. I would always, always, always ask. This is a huge part of the discovery process. Ask this question. Who are two people that you know that I should talk to that have a similar interest or similar passion or a similar business where I might be able to add value? Boom. That right there creates this chain reaction, baby. Chain reaction in the universe, and also chain reaction in the very practical sense of they're going to give you someone to talk to, right? Sometimes they're duds, sometimes they're studs, right? And you end up talking to the next person that gets you closer to your goal, closer to your dream, closer to your opportunity. You might not even know what the actual opportunity really is, and that's probably a good thing. Detach yourself from how it exactly has to look. Just have an intention, and then have attention around it and take these actions, right? I had belief and faith that it was going to happen. All of a sudden, I get introduced to an alumni that lived in Brazil. 3 months later, I find myself living and working in the state of Sao Paulo, Brazil, in a little town called Campinas. And I'm actually living with this person and her family. Her dad was the ex-vice minister of agriculture in all of Brazil. So I go from this broke kid in grad school with no idea of how I'm going to do what I want to do, but I just had this passion, this inspiration, and this belief and faith that it's already done. I took massive action, interviewed about 100 people, just tons of people, and I always ask them, who do you know? Who do you know? Who do you know? How can I add value? And magic and miracles, door after door after door after door opened up. All of a sudden, doing that, I come back, I say, you know what, if I can do it once, I can do it again. Next summer, I find myself working living and working at the U.S. Embassy in Singapore. Traveled all through Southeast Asia, learned so much about myself, about culture, et cetera, et cetera. And ultimately, it led me to interviewing all these companies, and it led me to my dream job I shared earlier. So that's what I would do for you. The first few things is get inspired, right? Discover what your limiting beliefs are. Up-level your network with people that are already doing it in that space, and go and add value to them. And man, you're going to create, it's not a linear process. It's not linear. Do you know what I mean when I say that? It's not linear. It means you could go from A to B to Z in like a second because of the people that you connect with, the people that you have relationships with. And before you know it, you're in a role where you probably didn't picture exactly what it was, but it's probably better than you even thought it was going to be. And now you're in your, whatever that dream opportunity is, whether it's starting your own business, whether it's, maybe a dream opportunity that could be a launch pad to your business, or maybe you're just going to be an entrepreneur and be an amazing employee that kicks butt in sales for a company that you believe in. Ultimately, that's the path that I would take, and those are some of the things that I would do right out of the gate, coupled with doing whatever you need to do that's ethical and legal to make money, because you got to make money. If you have a money problem and scarcity, it's going to dampen this whole experience. Solve that problem by just doing whatever you have to. I don't care if you got to work at Starbucks. Whatever you need to do to make money. But then do this discovery process, and man, it'll change your life.
Well, that's awesome, Clinton. Thank you so much, man. That was phenomenal. And, if people just glean what they heard from you just now, if they're in that type of situation and maybe they are struggling for money, one of the things I've learned over the years is that people don't have a money problem. They have an idea problem.
Yep.
So they got to get some of the ideas they just learned from you and put them into practice. Take that formula and go put them into practice today. Not tomorrow, not next week, today. Start immediately and start doing them right now. As soon as this call's done, start taking action. Start thinking through that process of what am I passionate about, and start putting it into action. Start getting the ball rolling. A ball rolls so much faster downhill once it starts going, right? It's much more difficult when it's stable and sitting there. Yeah. You got to push it a little bit. So make some decisions on some of the things he talked about and start using them.
Can I add one thing to what you just said, Stephen?
Sure.
Really, the thing you just said, I want to underscore that everybody really highlights this and writes this down. again, I study limiting beliefs in the conscious mind and subconscious and what stops us from having optimal experience of life. And we all want an optimal experience of life, but we have these limiting beliefs that many of us don't even know what they are. They're in our subconscious mind. We don't know they're there, but they're stopping us from having the life that we want. And one of those things is when we get inspired, there's this TEDx, Google a TEDx talk called the 5-second rule. It's not about dropping food on the ground either, guys or gals, but it's a 5-second rule. If you don't take action within 5 seconds, your brain will immediately go to work to annihilate that idea, to think of all the reasons why it's not going to work, all the reasons why you can't do it. It's natural human condition. I'm telling you, nobody gets out alive. Nobody escapes this. We all have it. We need to have tools and mechanisms to get around it and to dampen it as much as possible and reinforce new empowering beliefs to take their place. But it's going to happen. So the reason why I brought that up is what you just said, is go out and take action right now, right when this is done. And I would echo that. Tony Robbins says, never, ever, ever leave the sight of an inspired thought or a goal without taking at least one action. Because as soon as you do, 5 seconds is gone. Boom, you're going to annihilate that goal. You're going to think of other things to do. You're going to think of reasons why it's not going to work. So if you just did one thing today, one thing, I would literally, you probably know what already lights you up, what excites you, even if you don't know exactly what it is. Think of one person, just one person, and hit them up on social media right now, as soon as we're done. Just one thing. That's one thing, isn't it? And then maybe after later on, just write down a little outline of what it is, a little bit more. Just journal. One of my black sheep habits is journaling. Just journal. Write it down, because things bubble up and you're going to lose them, man. Our brains are slippery. Thoughts are slippery. Write it down. But the one thing you can do is just hit up someone on social media and tell them about the fact that you admire them and that you would love to learn more about what they do. And you can't go from zero to like CEO of Amazon. It's not like you're going to hit up Jeff Bezos. But, go way above where you think you could actually get an interview. And I'm not saying a job interview. I'm saying an admiration interview, finding ways where you could add value. And obviously use your judgment to choose the right people that make the most sense with whatever your background is. So that's one thing I would just add to that.
Well, man, I just want to tell you, I appreciate that. And one of the things I teach when it comes to taking action immediately, and I've developed in myself and the people that I work with and coach, I teach move at the speed of instruction. Move at the speed of instruction. So give an example. I was at an event the other day and I was building some sales funnels and stuff. And I went to a funnel training class and he was talking about different types of funnels that you can do. Before the video, I was on a very similar to this, a live feed like this. I had another screen open. I built the funnel before I was done with the class. I move at the speed of instruction. I get things done. This whole program that we're doing right now is the I Can Success Summit was built at the class they were teaching. So before I left the class, it was done. I had already made appointments to do these interviews before I was out of the room. See, and that's how you get stuff done. And so, that's what you're talking about. Take action now. Get things done. So, the last question I was going to ask you, what are some 3 bullets some 3 specific points you can give them? And you've given them already. You've given a couple hundred bullets, but the 3 you just said was 1, take action now. Don't wait, don't delay, don't think about it, don't analyze. You got 5 seconds or the 6th second, you're gonna start losing some stuff. So get it done now. Make it happen. Things in life have a tendency not to happen. It's up to us to make it happen. So start making it happen right now. Number 2, you said write it down. Because if you don't write it down, it gets in your thoughts, and then now there's so much noise online. There's so much noise. Sometimes I'm on my computer, I have 74 screens open. There's so much noise, right? You're on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, you get a text message, you get a message, you get a Skype message. I mean, you get 47 different ways to communicate. There's so much noise. If you don't write it down, it's gone out of your psyche. And then the third thing you said is hit someone up on social media now. Start putting it into practice. Don't think about it, don't analyze it, start putting it into practice. If you're struggling right now, start putting some of the things Clinton just told you into practice. Start taking your own shovel and start digging yourself out. And that's how it works. And so, Clinton, I just want to say, man, thank you so much, bro. You are powerful. And I mean, I can't wait to watch this again when I edit it, because I know I'm going to get more. I wasn't taking as many notes as I could just because I'm trying to stay focused on what you're saying. But you gave some nuggets today that people that are watching this, if you really grasp what you just got, and you start applying it now, you're going to see amazing results. 6 months from now, 3 months from now, a year from now, you're going to be in a different tax bracket if you take some of the stuff Clint just taught you today.
Can I share?
Yeah, so
there
is something. You said you have an aha that we forgot about
Yeah.
that you wanted to cover. So I want to make sure we're not done yet real quick. I want to hear that aha.
Okay, excellent. I don't want to leave people on a cliff there. We've got the cliffhanger going. And I also I love the 3 things you chose, and I'm going to give 3 more really quick that you can just write down real easy. I put these on my mirror. Think big, say yes, take action. Think big, because when you start thinking big and you start thinking like this and ideas start bubbling up, you start journaling, you start doing some of these black sheep habits, you start surrounding yourself with amazing people, you're going to have a lot of great ideas. Say yes, because guess what's going to happen? The universe is going to conspire to make it happen. Things are going to be presented to you, and they're going to be scary. And you just got to say yes and trust that that is the right thing, because it was presented to you right when you started thinking big. So think big, say yes, and then you just got to take action. Take action, and that leads to my aha moment. My aha moment was, and really it's more than an aha moment, this is a transformation, right? I told you I was in the seminar, and the seminar leader looks at me and says, Clinton, you're dead inside. And what I realized soon after that, taking a walk with my wife, which is another amazing thing. Take walks in nature, man. Get out there and take walks in nature. Do it by yourself too, so you can contemplate. Contemplate. Write that down. Contemplation is a massive black sheep habit. Contemplation by yourself in nature. But this day I'm walking with my wife, and I realized what happened when I made the choice to buy these properties in a terrible area. I thought that it was a good idea at the time. I was led by perhaps a little bit of greed, or perhaps a little bit of just unknowingness or naivete that I was going to make money without doing any work, right? Everyone wants the fast dollar. I didn't do anything wrong. I made the wrong choice. And I had always, and that was the beginning, by the way, of the crumbling of my house of cards, along with the economy, but that definitely had a massive, massive impact. And I'd always been someone, always, who trusted my intuition. Write that down, intuition. I've always had courage, right? Acting in spite of fear, to follow my intuition. Which your intuition are things that come to you that you couldn't possibly have come up with. Right? Some people might say it's a message from God or universe or whatever. Your intuition just boom. It's like aha moment. You might have it in the shower. I've always been someone that way. When I first went to grad school, or before grad school, I had this inspiration. I want to go visit my ex-girlfriend in Singapore. Boom, I did that. It led me to grad school. All of a sudden, I want to go overseas. Inspiration and intuition. Just follow your intuition. But I felt, this is where the cliffhanger comes back, so pay attention here. This is important. I'm on this walk with my wife, and I have this massive failure over my head. Like, I'm struggling. My wife had to create a business out of thin air. Luckily, she did, or we would have been sunk. And I'm thinking about how shattered I am. And I realized in that moment, I thought my intuition failed me. I'd always been someone that trusted my intuition, which I highly recommend. But I thought it failed me, because how could it let me buy these properties? I thought it failed me. And I'm sitting there, like, and for the next several years, I was gone. I was like, how am I going to, and I didn't know this consciously. But subconsciously, I was thinking, like, my system of operating the world was broken. My operating system was broken, and I didn't even know it. I thought my operating system, which was following my intuition, was broken. Then I realized, with this deep, like I said, immersion into this sort of this spiritual awakening, this deepening of meaning and purpose in my life, right? Doing things like meditation, getting quiet, taking walks in nature, visualizing, continuing to surround myself with amazing people that had more meaning and weren't just about making money, but they were about making impact. At that moment, I started to realize, in a split second, I realized my intuition didn't fail me. I failed my intuition. And it flashed in front of my eyes, this experience that I remembered that my intuition actually told me, don't buy those properties. And I did it anyways. I overrode my intuition because I was looking for the shortcut. Right? I didn't want to do the work. And that shattered me for 7 long years. I was in a hole of not knowing and then knowing, but I was still in that hole of knowing. And rebuilding, and I'm still to this day, rebuilding my trust with my own intuition. And I'm telling you, guys, I say this all the time, and gals, I say follow the tingles. Write that down. You're going to feel these tingling moments. You might have just felt it right there. I got a little tingle. Follow the tingles, because that's your intuition talking to you. That's one way that it talks to you. Your aha moments, that's another way. Have the courage to follow your intuition. Now, I'm going to read this quote. I actually have it written down because I didn't memorize it. But it's by Steve Jobs. And he says, have the courage to follow your heart and intuition, because it already knows what you want to become. And everything else is secondary. Your intuition is your guidance system. Follow your intuition. Develop your trust with it. Practice these habits we're talking about. Surround yourself with amazing people. And know that when you get truly inspired and clear about what you want, and you find people you can center yourself around and network with and model, and you just have belief and faith and continue to work on up-leveling your belief and faith through these habits, and you just take action, man, you can do anything. You can do anything. And that's what I want for everyone on this call today and on this video today. Thank you so much, Stephen, for having me and for trusting me with your audience. It's truly my pleasure.
Wow. Man, I am so fired up by this this interview with you. I just remember, bro, I just didn't know. You know, you don't know what you don't know. And I didn't know what happened after we left 10 years ago. But I could see God has been doing some amazing things with you. And you have taken your belief and some of the things we went through even in boot camp, because I remember you were a different person in boot camp.
Oh, yeah.
You were not the same person you are today in boot camp, that's for sure. And so because of that, you took that and you built on it, and you read and you got yourself around the right people, and you made a decision to become different. And you're different. And that's why you've changed your lifestyle. It's awesome to see you and your wife are doing strong in your marriage, and your business over there is doing well. And man, I just pray that and hope that the people that are watching this right now really take this and rewind it, go over and over and over. Take every bullet. He gave you so many nuggets that you can apply today. These are not theories and concepts he read in a book. This is what he lives every day. So I hope you take this information, apply it to your life, and start, getting the results that you want. Start living your passion. That's what this is all about. That's how you're going to get yourself into the situation you want to be in, and how you're going to live the lifestyle you want. So again, Clinton, thank you so much for being here. If you guys want to connect with Clinton, or maybe this resonated with you, and you think that Clinton is the guy that you want to talk to, go to our website, at the You Can Success Summit, and look him up. His name and address, phone number, email, website, all the stuff's right over there. Go check him out, connect with him. He'd love to talk to you. He'd definitely probably give you some free time to talk to you and find out what your goals are, your dreams are, and see if there's a fit. I think that if you resonate with Clinton, you can't go wrong. You will definitely be, work with the right person. So again, Clinton, thank you so much, man, for being here. I appreciate you, and definitely let's hang out, man. You're right down the street in San Diego, so we need to catch up. It's been too long.
Absolutely. And Stephen, thank you for being one of those mentors for me to help me get a lot of the foundational principles that has led me to where I am today. So just thank you. Everyone that's listening to this, you are blessed and have an amazing mentor in front of you in Stephen Gregg. Thank you again.
All right, bro. I'll talk to you later on.
Take care.
All right. Have a good day.
All right. Bye for now.